What is up, everybody? It is Hindsight 2020. Welcome to the new year. This is brought to you by Lucky Buddha Beer. No, it's not, but Lucky Buddha, if you hear this, if you're seeing this, sponsor me. Anyway, so to bring in the new year for all you Magic players, Magic the Gathering that is, I have brought together a rather fun Pioneer deck for you. Now this is not a deck made to win, however when it does, you get that extra kick of laugh. This is a deck that's made to annoy your opponent. They're really going to think about what to do to win because it is just filled with counters and defenders, and it's filled with everything. It's a great deck. But it is also really powerful if you get the right combos. Now this is a Pioneer deck. There's only 63 cards in it. Typically with your Pioneer you run around about 74, 75. I did that. I made it this way so that if you wanted to play this in a standard or modern style setting for your Magic, you could just remove any 3 cards. There's a handful of them that you can just remove that doesn't really make a difference because there's multiples in there, and there's cards that are very similar for about the same cost to play. So, without further ado, the Lucky Buddha bringing to you the Electric Boogaloo number 2. So, first things first, guys. The Electric Boogaloo number 2 is a black-blue deck. So it is swamps and islands. So let's go ahead and get our lands out of the way. You're going to go ahead and need 8 islands. Nine swamps. You want a Mystic Sanctuary because when it enters the battlefield untapped, so boom, boom, you may put a target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. So this is when you want to replay those instants and sorceries that you've already used. So this is a land that you want to save later in the game when you really want to annoy somebody, or if you have to play it, then you have to play it, obviously, to get that land. But this is one that you want to hold on to. You want your Witch's Cottage, and it comes into play untapped. You may put a target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library. So this is another one to pull your creature back on your library so that you can play it. Another one that you want to play probably later in the game. You definitely need your and/or color for your mana ramp, so you want some Watery Grave. Why? Because you may pay 2 life if you don't Watery Grave enters the battlefield tapped. So this is one that you can just hold in there. You can pay the 2 life and bring it in all the way, early game, to get you and/or mana, or not. So let's go ahead and get enter. So that was, what was that? 8, 9, 3... 21 lands. 20 lands. That was 20 lands. So go ahead and get your sorcery now. This is where you're going to start getting annoying. You want some Mind Rot, and the target player discards 2 cards. Go ahead and run 3 of those. Nice little sorcery. Go ahead and run 3 of those. They have to discard 2, so there you go. They're discarding 6 cards right away. Next one, you want a Creature Human Wizard, a low-cost Dragon's Eye Savant. It is a morph So you can reveal a blue card in your hand. And you may cast a card face down, this card, face down, as a 2/2 token for 3. 3 of anything. But when it gets played face up, as it is right now, the Dragon's Eye Savant is turned face up. Look at your target opponent's hand. If you can do this turn 2, turn 3, you're going to plan ahead and you're going to know what the opponent has, and you have the advantage right off the bat playing that one. Or you can play a face down as a token, and you know what you got. They don't know what you got. Pop it later to know what they got later in the game if you've got nothing and you need to know what to plan for. So just run you one of those. Get you a Dimmer Guild Mage. It's 2 of either or. It's another human wizard, and you can pay 4 mana, 3 of anything, 1 of the blue, and the target player draws a card. Activate this ability only any time you could cast a sorcery. So they're getting rid of a card anytime you cast a sorcery. And then, or you could do the black mana version of it, and the target player discards a card. Activate the ability anytime you would cast a sorcery. So it's a human wizard that has sorcery abilities. Another fun one to play, so you can get them to get rid of cards or draw cards, pretty much. So if you want to mill them, that's a good way to get them to start milling themselves. Just run one of those. Next one, you got some Dark Inquiry. Target opponent reveals his or her hand, and you choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. So any creature, any spell, any sorcery, any instant, anything that's not a land that you see in their hand, they have to discard it. So it's kind of a medium cost. It's cost 3. So you don't want too many of these, but it's a good card to have. It's going to annoy your opponent because they can't play their cards. They can't have their cards. So go ahead and run 2 of those. And you're only going to need 1 Noxious Grudian. It is a creature beast. It has 2/2 for a 3 cost, and it just has Death Touch. So that's on the battlefield. It's not a bad defender, not a bad attacker. It has Death Touch, so your opponent is going to think about what they're going to use to attack with you on there and what they're going to block with. Because whatever they use is going to die. So he's beefy. If it's a 1/1 token or whatever, it's obviously going to die. But if it's anything higher than a 2, it's going to die. So that's one that's going to make your opponent think about things. Good one to run, but just run one of them. We're on 1 of the Dark Deal. It's a 3 cost, and each player discards all the cards in his or her hand. Then draws that many cards, -1. So if you can pull that out turn 2, they're going to have probably 7 cards in their hand. You got to discard it, make them draw 6. Start all over again. This is a good card to play if you can see that opponent's hand and you know they have the advantage compared to yours. Go ahead and make them discard everything and start all over. It's a good annoying card. Just make your opponent start all over if they definitely have the advantage. Now you want to run some unsummons. You can pull this out turn 1. It costs 1. It is an instant. You don't want to because it's you return target creature to its owner's hand. So you want to bring your creatures back. That's a good one to have. So you're just going to run 2 of these guys because they're low costs. Here's some that they're actually fun to really put into play here. Cost 1 of each, and it's Sleeper's Robe. You want to run 2 of these. It's an enchantment, and whenever you enchant a creature, the enchanted creature can't be blocked except by artifact creatures and or black creatures. So unless I got like artifact decks, anything equipped with artifact creatures, or black creatures, you have pretty much free roam on your creatures that you enchant with this. And whenever an enchanted creature deals combat damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. You don't have to, but you can draw cards just to get what you need, because you can just keep on going. You can build yourself out with that if you wanted to, if that's the way you're playing. So go ahead and run 2 of your Sleeper's Robe. Now you're getting into your defense, your annoying defense. So you want some Wall of Mist. It is a 2 cost. You can get it out turn 2, and it's just it's a 5 power defender. That's all it is. It can't attack, but it makes it harder for your opponents to start attacking you, because 5 is a hefty number to break through. So go ahead and run 1, 2, 3 of your Wall of Mist. Next things you want to throw in there is some Exclusion Mage. It's a 3 cost human wizard again, and when Exclusion Mage enters the battlefield, return target creature and opponent controls to its owner's hand. It is what it is. It's a fun card to play, because you can really mess up an opponent's game plan, especially if they play out of their graveyard, to make them pull something out of their graveyard that they don't necessarily want. It's a good one to play. This is one of those that you can throw it in your deck, and for your Pioneer, or you can get rid of them and play it in the standard format or whatever. But for a 2/2 cost, and you're taking control of what the target player is doing, it's a good card to have. So go ahead and run 2 of those. The next card you want to run is a Specter's Shriek. It is a sorcery. It's a 1 cost sorcery, and the target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, that player exiles that card. If a non-black card is exiled this way, exile a card from your hand. So it's just a way to get rid of cards, especially if they're running zombies. Go ahead and get rid of their zombies. If they're running a black deck, it's a good card to have, but you only want to run 1 of those, because you don't want to lose all your cards. You just want to annoy your opponent. Next card you want some Mana War. It's a jellyfish. I love the card art on this. It's a 3 cost jellyfish. When Mana War enters the battlefield, return target creature to its owner's hand. That can be yourself, that can be whoever you want to return to their hand, you return it to your hand. You're obviously going to want to put it to yourself, because you got some things in there that you're going to see a little bit later that people are going to remove. So hold on to this card when you got it, so you can pull that card right back out and play it again. Only 1 run of those. Now you want to Aid the Fallen. It's a 2 cost sorcery, and you can choose 1 or both of its abilities. You can return a target creature card from your graveyard to your hand, or return target planeswalker card from your graveyard to your hand. Amazing card, especially for the planeswalker you're going to see here in a minute. Just to pull him back out and just keep on playing that planeswalker. This is a good one. So I'm going to put this to the side so I can show you what I mean. Here's one where I got 4 of them in here. You don't have to necessarily run all 4 of them, but get you some Queen of Ice. It is a 3 cost adventure card. So it has a sorcery adventure that's a 2 cost, and you tap a target creature, and it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap. So that creature doesn't do anything. It stays tapped for essentially 2 turns. And then when you want to bring her out of their adventure and put it back on there for her cost of 3, whenever the Queen of Ice deals combat damage to a creature, you tap that creature, and it doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So this is one that they're gonna think about blocking, because it's almost a death touch. Instead of that creature getting exiled, it's just going to stay tapped for 2 turns. So it's going to really hurt that opponent, and you can do some damage on there. So You got 4 of them in your Pioneer deck. You might want to only run 2 of them in a regular standard. But go ahead and get you 4 of them to get it set up. My card stack. Next card you want to get is an instant. Drown in the Lock. And you can choose one of its abilities. Counter target spell with converted mana cost less than or equal to number of cards in its controller's graveyard. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of cards in its controller's graveyard. So, if this is late game, whatever they cast, you got that as an instant, they can't play it. Yeah, but you can only choose one or the other. So, you can either counter them or you can destroy their card. So, there you go. Run you 2 of those. Good card to play. Good card to play to annoy your opponent. Now you want some Tyrant's Scorn. Look at that old Nicol Bolas. Blah, 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 blah. So it's a 2-cost instant, and you can choose one. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost of 3 or less. Return target creature to its owner's hand. So go ahead and destroy those creatures. Get them all. So those battlefield gives you a way through. Go ahead and destroy it. Or just go ahead and bring your card back that you need, and you're going to see some. And it's a target creature, any creature. It doesn't include planeswalkers, but any creature, target creature, bring him back and play it. So you just want to run 2 of those. I forgot about this card. This is a good card. Your Lockmere Serpent. It is a 6 cost, so it's a high cost. And I'm covering up what it how big it actually hits for, but it is a flash. So it can attack pretty much at any time after it has Summoning Sickness. So you can sacrifice a land, an island, and Lockmere Serpent can't be blocked this turn. You can sacrifice a swamp, and you gain 1 life and draw a card. Or you can do both and exile 5 target cards from an opponent's graveyard. Return a Lockmere Serpent from your graveyard to your hand and activate this ability only anytime you would cast a sorcery. That's why it has flash. Because it's anytime you can cast a sorcery. And what I'm covering up is how powerful and tough this guy is. He's a 7/7. That's why he's a high cost. But it's a delicious, beautiful card to play. You're going to love it. And your opponent's going to hate it because they're going to want to get rid of this. And then you got those cards that's going to go ahead and bring him right back. Next card you want to look at is some Shimmer of Possibility. It is a sorcery, and you look at the top 4 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand, and the rest of them on the bottom of your library in any order. It's a good card. It can set you up for whatever you want, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. That can set you up. So you only want to run 1 of these. Because if you've got too many of them, it's just going to hurt you. So just run 1. So hopefully you can get it about mid-game, and you can set yourself up for the end game. Next card you want to look at is some Augur of Bolas. Look at that card art. He kind of looks like a catfish, in my opinion, like a Pokemon catfish. But yeah, it's a Merfolk Wizard. Merfolks are always OP if you're not aware. He's a 2-cost creature. Whenever the Augur of Bolas enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal an instant or a sorcery card from among them and put it into your hand. And then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. And he's just a 1/3, so he's a low cost, but look at that. You're getting 3 cards to look at, and you're keeping 1. That's kind of ridiculous for that cost. Now you just want to run 1 of the Tempest Caller. It is a 4-cost Merfolk Wizard, and then when the Tempest Caller enters the battlefield, tap all creatures target opponent controls. So that just opens that battlefield for you. Good card, especially if you got that Serpent out, because that Serpent's going to hit hard. Get that Serpent and you got that Ice Queen out, you're probably going to end the game right there. So, you just want to run 1 of those because he's kind of a high cost, but it's a good card. Now, getting into the heavy stuff. Forever Young is a 2-cost sorcery. Put any number of target creature cards from your graveyard on top of your library. Any number. That could be all of them. If your graveyard's nothing but creature cards, put them back all on top of your library in any order. And then just draw a card. So, that card is ridiculously overpowered. Especially if you're running a lot of creatures. Because you're getting them all right back. But you just want to run one of those. So you can run multiples. It's best just to run one because, again, this deck is made to annoy your opponent. Next is some Callous Dismissal. For a 2-cost sorcery, return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. And it has an amass 1. Put a 1/1 counter on an army you control. If you do not control one, create a 0/0 black zombie army creature token first. So, this one's going to give you not only your non-land back, but you can amass it and make yourself a token army of zombies, black zombies at that. And black zombies, if you play them right, just pretty much come out of your graveyard every time they die. So that's a good one to have to annoy your opponent, because then they, especially if you get this out pretty early on, they think you're going to play out of your graveyard and they're going to change up their entire game plan. So that's one just to mess with your opponent's head. It's a cerebral assault. Next is your Disperse. For a 2-cost, it is an instant and return a target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So that's anything. That's creatures, lands, or not land. Creatures, artifacts, instants, sorceries. Any of those permanents. I don't know why I said instants and sorceries, because those aren't permanents, but enchantments. Anything that's a permanent, go ahead and return it back to your hand, and you can play it. It's a good card to throw in there. You don't have to. It's just another one to keep you kind of loaded and keep you in the game. Now these guys, the Venomous Changeling. If you've never played Changelings, Changelings are annoying as fuck. This is a 3-cost. And why are Changelings annoying? Because a Changeling is every creature type. Every creature type. This is whatever you want it to be. It has flying, it has haste, it has double strike, it has first strike, it's everything. And it also has death touch. It's a good little defender, so, and it's a 1/3. So it's everything. It's indestructible. It's whatever you want it to be. So go ahead and play 2 of those to not only remove things, but have a lot of fun on it. And you can also make it part of what this next card is. This card is what pretty much makes this deck. The Atrata, the Silencer. Legendary creature, vampire assassin. Atrata the Silencer cannot be blocked. And whenever Atrata deals combat damage to a player, exile a target creature that player controls and put a hit counter on that card. That player loses the game if they own 3 or more exiled cards with hit counters on them. Atrata's owner shuffles Atrata into their library. As if you're playing like Commander or multiple people, whatever. So that last effect doesn't really mean anything unless you're playing multiples. But she's a 3/5. You got 3 of them. 3 hit counters. You just won the game. Do they remove some of them? Go ahead and bring them back. Go ahead and bring them back. So you got 4 hit counters right there. Next card. If you don't love this card, you will. So, Rankle, the Master of Pranks. Legendary fairy rogue creature. He has flying and haste. And whenever Rankle, the Master of Pranks, deals combat damage to a player, choose any number. Each player discards a card. Each player loses 1 life and draws a card. Each player sacrifices a creature. Yeah. He's a 3/3/2. And he has flying and haste. So he can hit right off the bat. Most people don't have flying defense, so he's probably going to hit every time. He's going to essentially be a low field wipe. He's just going to keep on removing them out unless they find something to remove him. At which case, bring him back. And there's, as you see, there's multiples in there. Bring him back, and just keep on annoying your opponent. And here's a card that I warned you about to begin with. The Deckbuild Rogue Shadow Mage. A 3-cost legendary planeswalker. Deckbuild. At the beginning of, and this is a no-cost ability, loyalty. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if that player has 1 or fewer cards in their hand, Deckbuild Rogue Shadow Mage deals 2 damage to them. So if it's later in the game, yeah. If they don't have any, if they're just playing per card, they're losing life every time. Or you can target player discards a card. You can go ahead and remove him out. He's a 3-cost, so you could potentially bring him down to that 1 or fewer cards pretty soon. But, you know, he's got removed. Bring him back and continue it. Annoy them. And then you got the spells in there that's going to bring this back, that you can use to bring him back. Just keep on annoying these people. That's the point. We'll save that one. And here's your high cost, 7-cost, Reaper of the Night adventure card. He's a Spectre, and he has Harvest Fear as his sorcery adventure. Target opponent discards 2 cards. For a 4-cost. Get rid of your 2 cards. You can use that on top of that Planeswalker and bring them down to almost nothing. And there you go. There's your dealing 2 damage. And then whenever the Reaper of Night attacks, if defending player has 2 or fewer cards in their hand, it gains flying until the end of turn. So that's one that's gonna stay. Once you get them down to the almost nothing in their hand, they're playing there for a 4 toughness. Flying, that's a heavy hitter. So, he's a good card. He's a kind of a high cost. You only want 1 of him because of that high cost, but he's a good card to have. He's like definitely your end game. Like, you throw that out there, your opponent's gonna be really mad at you. They'll probably punch you in the dick. And this is probably my favorite card in this entire deck, just because this card has so much potential and can win games really super fast for you. The Murderous Rider. He's a 3-cost. He's a low cost. His toughness and power isn't bad. He's an adventure card. He's a zombie knight. He has a Swift End for a 3-cost. That is an instant. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. You lose 2 life. So you're losing life, but that's okay, because you can bring him back and get your lifelink. And when Murderous Rider dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. So, you can essentially play him a lot. If you get him out early enough, you can just keep on playing him throughout the game, because you got cards that you can find him. So, boom. And there you have it, guys. That was the Electric Boogaloo number 2. It is an annoying deck. It is a pioneer and or standard modern. I showed you the cards that I would remove. You can remove any of the other ones that you want to make that a standard style 60 card deck. But go ahead and build that deck and annoy your friends. And laugh in the entire process and potentially win. It does have a good, like, 65% win rate. But there you go. Happy 2020. And I'll see you next time. And like always, like, comment, and share the shit out of this. Go ahead and get you some Lucky Buddha beer, because Lucky Buddha is enlightened beer. Is delicious. It'll make you feel better about yourself, and it'll potentially save your life. It'll definitely change your life. But until next time.